You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. Got a good one. We're going over March Madness, how the Tennessee Volunteers ended. We have a little discussion that Reed perked up online on our Twitter, so we want to talk about it here, see what Vol Nation thinks. But a good podcast first. If you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate and review, and then follow us on all social medias. You can find every link below. So check us out there. Without further ado, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Hey, big fella. What you doing, brother? How's it going?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Enjoying the week.
Yeah,
we're still in it. But here we are.
Yeah.
We're New Year, same. You know, I don't want to say it. Hey, in the first 5 minutes, we got to be careful on these YouTube. All right.
Yeah, for sure. So instead of recording Sunday, because we played on Sunday, we're recording. It's Tuesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So here in Knoxville, it turned into be a beautiful day. Yesterday was a rain out. This morning was cloudy, but the sun's shining right now. It's a beautiful day. It's always good to do it a day or so after, I think. And for me, I wasn't very emotional after this game. And I'll dive into why. But doing well. Always need to yell out bacon junk removal. If you guys need anything at all, please reach out. You can find me at Bacon Junk Removal on Instagram and Facebook. And then my LinkedIn, I do a lot of stuff on there. It's been busy. Knock on wood. I hope it stays that way, and I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, I'm with you. Though. Give a couple days. You know, it's always overreaction Monday.
Yeah, right. Agreed. But for me, I'll just kind of let the cat out of the bag. I said I wanted Elite Eight, and that's what I would be happy with, because that was my expectation. Hey, if you're going to be a number one ranked, top 5, top 10 team all year, finish Elite Eight, and they did it. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, awesome. Now, did I want a Final Four? Obviously, we all want a Final Four. We would all absolutely love a championship. But instead of letting it get me frustrated like years past, and knowing that like, hey, we have Rick, second round Rick, he's not great in March, whatever, all the things. I just said, hey, if it happens, great, but I'm not going to expect it. I'm not going to be younger Reed, which it's not like I was super young, but, late 20s Reed of Grant Admiral, and the bracket opens up and it's Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago, and we should be a cakewalk to the Final Four, or lose to Purdue on a Lamonte Turner corner 3 foul. And, those are the years we've never tasted a Final Four basketball. So when you have those really good teams, you just feel like you're squeezing the puppy so hard. The puppy's so adorable and you love it. And you wanted to stay a puppy forever you're trying to enjoy those times. But you can't do that.
Cherish it.
Dude. I do that to Megan a lot. I'll grab her and I'm like, can you cherish it? And she has no idea what it's from. And if you all don't know what it's from, if you're listening, Kyler was acting like he was grabbing a face, and it's from Billy Madison when Adam Sandler grabs the overweight
husky.
Overweight husky young guy and telling him to cherish middle school as long as you can. But so I just think now would I love to see it? Yes, but I'm not expecting it.
I think you're right on cue. I think some of those earlier teams you mentioned with like Grant and Schofield, and like you're expecting more out of them and expecting them to get past certain teams. and they fall apart. In kind of the same way, if we didn't get past Kentucky, it would have felt like that.
Agreed 1,000%. That's exactly where I was
like
going.
I really went into the weekend. I told people this too. I was like, listen, I want to make the Elite Eight. The Elite Eight's going to be nice. That's going to be a really tough game, whoever we're playing. But we cannot lose to Kentucky. Like I don't care that they're a 3, that they're a good team in the tournament. Like we cannot lose to them after losing to them twice in the regular season. That's just the rival in me. That is the optics when you really look at it and you're like, oh, who did you lose to in the tournament? Oh, your rival that you lost to twice in the regular season. Oh, that's who you lost to. That makes the tournament totally different. So when we got over that, I was playing with house money. I felt good. We're inside the top 8. If we can get further, that'd be great. And that's why, like, I'm sitting here not upset at this team, not upset at Barnes, like I have been in years past where I thought, look at us. We just won the SEC. We're about to crush it. Look at, you know what I mean? Like these teams, they have such talent in the offensive end. They're going to be able to keep up, right? With, the Barnes defensive dominance. It's just a different feel this year.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I agree 1,000%. The nerves are there for Kentucky, but you beat Kentucky. It's like, okay, sweet. This is exciting. I get to watch my team on Sunday. If we win, it's going to be awesome. If we lose, hey, it is what it is. I still accomplished what I wanted my team to accomplish. So I wasn't ever really going to be upset with anything. Yeah. Plus, call me crazy, but like that Houston team didn't make me mad as a fan. I just really respected them. I felt like they played awesome defense. They clutched up when they had to. They didn't have any guys on their team that just pissed me off. Like
I was like really rooting for Houston because I didn't want to play Purdue because Purdue would have pissed me off. Like losing to Purdue would have pissed me off way more than Houston because of the years past, because of those same white guards they have that were on the team with Edey that just there's something about them. There's something about their freaking faces.
It's so funny you bring that up because I almost forgot. So that was another conversation of once we beat Kentucky, and we're not moving on from that game. We'll get back to that. But that was a conversation with my buddies and I just said, it has to be Houston because I respect Houston. And I hadn't watched a ton of them, but it kind of what I thought was what the case was. Hey, they're a really, really good team. They play really, really hard. They're somewhat likable. They're not a team that I've seen a bunch. But if Purdue does win that game, maybe that is a better matchup for Tennessee. But losing to Purdue again would be like losing to Kentucky for a third time in the year. Yeah. When I'm, knock on wood, if the good Lord blesses me to be 60, 70, 80 years old, I'm not going to remember probably the loss to Houston, but I promise you I would lose. I remember losing to getting baseball style swept in basketball in the Sweet 16 by Kentucky. I'm going to remember that. And I would remember going to the Elite Eight and losing to Purdue again for the third time in basketball.
Yeah.
And I know this is just a little funny a little whipped cream add to the pie, but also
I know what you're about to say. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's in the bowl game. Because it coincided all at the same time. It is stuck in my memory. I will always remember us playing Edey and that bowl game because it was so close together. And I was just like, fucking Purdue, dude. Like, get off my jock, man. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're lame. They're so lame. I don't like – I know a couple people that went to school there. Guess what? Growing up, they were douchers, so I didn't like them. And it's like it just makes sense that they went to Purdue. And so there's nothing cool about Purdue. Like,
no.
Even Purdue fans are probably like, yeah, we're not that cool, but we're good. So in last year, it was a little bit different too, that last year for me personally, I looked at them like we have Dalton Connect. If it's not this year, I personally have been clamoring like for that top 5, top 10 pick, that dude's dude. And we finally got him, which was awesome to watch. But then I'm sitting there a little bit like, maybe if it's not this year, it's never. And the only reason that I was still upset that we lost to Purdue, but I think Tennessee was a little unfortunate that we got connect the year that UConn's incredible and the year that Purdue has a guy like Zach Edey who is a really good player, but also basically just gets any and every call because of his size and how they officiate the game.
Yeah.
So it got to a point last year where maybe midway through the season, maybe the start of March Madness, I'm like, dude, if we lose early and don't clutch up with Dalton, one of the best players in Tennessee basketball history, I don't know when it's going to happen. But then as you're realistic and you see the road, you're like, hey, we're probably not beating this UConn team, and we're probably not beating Purdue. And so it was kind of unfortunate, because I do think last year we get our first Final Four if we're just playing another team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree to go back to the Kentucky thing. Once we won that game, and to be honest with you, it was a very enjoyable game to watch because
it was great.
You still get a little stress, but for me, it was a beautiful basketball game from start to finish as a Tennessee fan. In the way that we played defense, we jumped out to the early lead. We never, ever, ever really let them pressure us. I mean, it's wild because Houston did exactly to us what we did to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But it was just a very enjoyable game. It was almost like a stress-free par. I was joking with my dad. I was like, man, this game ended up being like a stress-free par. Like, yeah, we had a chance to make a birdie, but it's okay. We just went and tapped it in, and that's what we did.
It's a totally different feeling when you watch games when your strength of your team is your defense versus the strength of your team is your offense. Like, think about, like, early 2000s Ravens fans, like, how they watched games.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, okay, offense is 3 and out, whatever. Defense is on the field. Great. Like Steelers of the past few years that the only thing they had is defense.
Yeah.
It's just like, can't wait to watch TJ Watt. Like, they're like, literally, it's just like, can't wait for the defense to get out there. And when you're watching the basketball game and you're like, oh, we missed that one, you're just, who cares? We got great defense. Like, defense is going to hold us. As soon as we got a little bit of a lead, it was like, oh, how are you ever going to catch up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be awful. And that's what, like you said, Houston did to us. It was just, how the heck are you ever going to catch up? Now you're down 10. I mean, it felt over very early.
Yeah, I looked at my dad, and it was probably like 9-2 or maybe like 11-4. And I just said, man, if we don't hit one of these open shots in the next couple possessions, this is going to turn into the Kentucky game, but against us. And that's what, dude, sometimes basketball is that simple. Sometimes basketball is you make and miss your shots. And before we go fully to Houston, I just want to reiterate, and this is a little snapshot when we talk about Bruce and Rick, but Rick has given us some really fun wins that I will appreciate. Like the Duke win in the tournament 2 years ago.
Yeah,
was an awesome win. And then this win against Kentucky, hey, they've beaten us twice, and we get to not take them out of the season. That's a really, really fun one. And so I loved watching that game. We hit the big shots. We answered everything. We just went and played really well, and it was awesome. And I'm not going to let the Houston loss affect that. And, hey, we made another Elite Eight. But to get to the Houston game, I know a lot of people that probably know a lot more about basketball and cover it a lot more than I do may say, hey, these guys came out a little tight. Maybe they really, really wanted to win this one for Rick really bad because they all know, which unfortunately Rick has to do a really good job. And he probably does say, like, guys, it's another game. Don't put this on a pedestal for me. It's, because they hear this stuff. They know that Tennessee's never been to a Final Four, which cracks me up. I saw something the other day that said Tennessee's still without a Final Four and they've been around for 116 years. It's like, dude, no offense. Our men's basketball team truly didn't start until about 2006 or 7 with Bruce. So you can save all the 116 years. I know we had
Ernie. Old heads might be a little upset by that, but
listen, I know we had Bert and Ernie. Bert and Ernie, and then we had Allen Houston for a little bit. But listen, our basketball program has really started in the past 20-something years. So
listen, if your basketball program is third fiddle in the sports at the school because women's basketball is above you, then you know where you sit.
Exactly. Good way. It's a good way to put it. Yeah, good way to put it. So, so just going into Houston, like I said, for me, it's about the best I can take a loss because you go in, you're like house money, hope it goes well. And like I was getting to the point of, do I think those guys were tight and stuff? I don't know. I mean, it looked weird. Chaz started off really bad in both games where he's like not hitting the rim. I mean, he's throwing up bricks. So, like, was he tight? I don't know. But then again, for a guy like Chaz, it might not be he's tight because he wants to play well for Rick. It might be tight because this is a big stage for him. He needs to play well for his, his future, whatever. He's up for some of these awards. And so you never know what happens. But sometimes, man, it's a make or miss. And we just weren't missing threes. I mean, Rick or the other coaches would design a really good, off the screen ball action, get it to Gainey or Chaz on a little 15-footer. They've been hitting them all years. It doesn't go in. We get to the lane. Doesn't go in on a layup. So it's like sometimes that happens, man. Sometimes your putts aren't dropping. Your shots aren't making. Things are not clicking. And unfortunately, when you start to see that, you're like, probably not going to end well for you. And then when Houston's as good as they are defensively, and one thing I really respected is those guys felt like they made every clutch shot. Every clutch shot that they needed to close us out, it went in. And I was like, respect.
And I mean, even in situations where they passed the ball around a couple times, they didn't have anything, the play wasn't open, and it was man on man, they would beat their guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that little like half juke spin the one dude had on Ziegler like early,
nasty,
faded away and just swapped it. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like Ziegler couldn't do anything about that. And he's up for Defensive Player of the Year.
It's a good point. And the big guy had some really nice moves on Okpara.
Yeah.
It was also that game where things aren't going your way that you just felt like, in which massive respect to Tennessee, they never stopped fighting. We knew they wouldn't stop fighting.
Yeah, that's true. That's a Barnes thing.
Yeah, they're always going to give effort. But you and I have played in sports. Every listener has played in some type of sport where the shots aren't falling. So you're like, okay, I just got to play better defense. I got to give more effort. And then you play defense for the entire shot clock. And you're like, oh, we forced a miss. And the next thing you know, and it looks and the rebound goes perfectly to them. And you're like, oh, it's just that day. It's that type of day. So that it is what it is. But for me, to keep it short and sweet for these games, and we can talk about Bruce and Barnes, and I'll hear what you got to say. It's about as enjoyable win on a Friday night, and it was about as easy as a loss that I've probably ever had as a fan, because it's like Houston, like I said, didn't have anybody to make me mad. Mm-hmm. I don't have some back and forth with their fan base in my head, that we do as fans. And so it was like, yeah, they're the better team. They played better that day. And to be honest with you, I don't see it this year where Tennessee was going to win a championship. I mean, going to the Final Four would be great, but I don't think that we would have had to play nearly perfect to beat a Florida or a Duke or Houston. Obviously we've beaten Florida. I get it. And we've beaten Auburn. I get it. But when you're playing on a road on that stage, I think we're going to have to play damn near perfect to beat a Florida or Houston or Duke.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's technically possible because you've seen us beat two of the four teams in the Final Four. So it feels that way, but obviously, like, luck of the draw in the tournament. It's just, you never know what it's going to be. So, but yeah, I mean, it was an easy loss. It feels a little weird, like a better version of a Barnes team beats him, where it's just like defense first, making tough shots. I mean, I'm with you though. On a Sunday afternoon, it kind of fell behind the other games as like not the biggest game talked about that weekend. It was probably the easiest loss we could have had.
Yeah. I mean, which is nice because And I don't know why I thought about this, but thinking about it this way, and then thinking about we're going to get into football, and we'll have a lot of time to talk about that. And maybe it was because we were talking about this last night with some buddies online on Xbox. And last year with Heupel, everyone got so frustrated with him not seeing the high flying stuff, and I tried to make the point, and you did too. It's like, dude, what do good coaches do? What did Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, do? You never knew what week to week they were going to look like. Whether they're going to throw it go 5 wide and throw it all over the place, or they're going to line it up in I formation, pound it at you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I loved how Josh Heupel did that this year. But I think to tie this in, my point is to my knowledge, Heupel really hasn't lost a game that he shouldn't lose. Really, there's probably one or two. I mean, maybe that one against Florida a couple years ago in the swamp where I thought we would win, but I was wrong.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't remember the odds. And then, the South Carolina's a big one.
Yeah.
And the South Carolina was the one that was like, that's probably the only one. And that one is the one that hurts so bad as fans is like, oh, man, we're not supposed to lose this game, and we do, and it ruins everything. Like, to tie it into basketball, what I was going to say is like the Houston game wasn't that for me. The Kentucky game was. And like, Rick, at least regular season, sometimes postseason, like he's usually going to win the games he's supposed to win. And then,
kind of like if we had lost to Vanderbilt this year instead of, and then we don't get into the playoff. But we beat Vanderbilt, we get into the playoffs, we lose to Ohio State. It's like you lost the next game, but it doesn't feel the same.
Right. Exactly. Great point. Yeah. So, anyways, if you want to click that down.
I want to start by reading your tweet.
Okay.
So you sent it out to Vol Nation and just ask a couple questions. Just curious, is it okay to like Rick but admit that Bruce is a better coach? Seems tough to argue with the second Final Four appearance. So it sounds like you're leaning a little bit towards the Bruce, Mr. Pearl. But, we've heard what you said on this podcast about Barnes. I've kind of said the same thing. I can't remember exactly how many years Bruce had with us, but it's tough for me on this one because I think Rick and Bruce end up in this second tier of coaches. And it really kind of depends, splitting hairs, what stats you're putting up there to determine where you put them in the second group. You know what I mean? Like if Bruce loses to Florida, okay, he made 2 Final Fours. Great. He hasn't won a championship. They're not really having a ton of success in the SEC. Like you can't really put him into the first group. You know what I mean? To where he is definitely above Barnes. So I think it's very like tiers almost with these coaches where you can put, the Hurleys and the Izzos and Coach K at one point, like they were all up top and then the second row. So I think both of these guys are on the second row. But let me hear what you have to say.
I love that you said it that way because that's something I thought about today. I would say that Rick Barnes and Bruce Pearl are both really good basketball coaches. And the reason I don't say they're great basketball coaches is because neither of them have a championship yet. And I'm not going to say that they don't have a championship and leave it at that because they're both still coaching. So until they quit, retire, get fired, whatever the case may be, like they still Bruce could potentially do it this year. Do I think so? No. Mm-hmm. So it's really funny you started that way because I agree with you. I do think that they are on that tier of really good. They're that second tier, but it's not fair to Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, Jay Wright, Hurley, Izzo, Calipari. You can't put them up there with great because they haven't won the championship. And the thing about it is with college basketball, there's a little bit of making it to the Final Four is very difficult But in every other sport, you have to actually win the championship. In
That's
college
true.
basketball, you can say, hey, we made a Final Four.
Yeah.
And it's like the championship is like the ultimate. But if you can go ahead and say, hey, he's been to like 3 or 4 Final Fours, like you still technically can't be great, in my opinion, because you haven't won it. But it's nice compared to football. Like, you got to win it. Even if you start making the big game and don't close it out, it's looked at a little bit different than like, oh, dude, he's been to 3 Final Fours. It's like, well, so-and-so is going to the, BCS championship or now the college football playoff, and they're losing every time. What's up?
Yeah. No, I mean, Penn State is a great example of that.
Exactly. So it's funny how you look at those two. So agreed completely. They're both tier 2 coaches, and they're both really good coaches. It does bother me when people, which Jimmy Dykes, huge UT guy. I love when he calls our games because he loves us and he's a good commentator, but he's always like, Rick Barnes is a great coach. And I get it. He's in that industry. He's in that business. People are like, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but he's never won the big one. Same with Bruce as of right now. My thing is, I've always said, and nothing has changed my opinion, that I think Bruce is a better coach than Rick. That has not changed. Now, I do have the bias of, so Bruce was here 2005. He was here from 2005 to 2011. And it was, I'm in 7th and 8th grade and then all throughout high school. Mm-hmm. So it's like when my fandom is basically at its peak because you're now old enough to understand what's going on and realize it, and your memory is there to remember all these games. Like, I will never forget being in the building the night that we beat Florida. And, Chris Lofton turns it over, but then gets the steal, kicks it down to Dane Bradshaw. We lay it in. Jack and I are in 7th grade or 8th grade. We rush the court. I'm never going to forget that. Just like this conversation is not a conversation for someone who's in freshman in high school now or sophomore in high school now who's grown up with Rick.
Yeah.
But to me, it's pretty plain and simple. I mean, that tweet, I've been arguing this for years now. Like, it's never changed that I think Bruce is better. I do like Rick as a person. I'm very open about my faith. I love that he speaks so openly about his faith. He does seem to get a really, really good quality of guy and person here. And there's not, as some would say, that Bruce gets thugs or, street hoop basketball player guys, whatever you want to call them. And I'm just repeating that because I've seen that. But ultimately, if I don't think, and I don't think Bruce is a bad guy. Like, he cheated because he lied to the NCAA about a barbecue, but that's not like he's not.
Don't give me that excuse. Like, when I bring up who's a better coach, don't tell me, oh, well, this guy cheated. This is a barbecue. Jim Harbaugh did the same fucking thing, and he won a national championship, and no one's holding his hand to the fire at all. So it's like, some of the rules of NCAA are ridiculous. I think it's stupid that he got in trouble in the first place, and he wouldn't get in trouble nowadays.
So agreed on all of that. And the thing about Bruce is, like, I don't think Bruce is a bad, like, human. Like, I think he is a good person, a good human. It's not like he was Pitino, who was getting, cocaine and drugs and hookers for 16-year-old recruits or whatever it came out that he was doing. So, like I said, I like Rick. I like the program that he's built. He's a really, really good coach. But to me, in this stuff, when it's so neck and neck, tight and tight, and people want to talk about, I saw someone respond on that tweet like, oh, you mean the Bruce that Rick beat, a couple weeks ago? And it's like, yeah, but that's my point. He beat Rick either in the regular season or he beat him in the SEC tournament, which is a great win. But, like, his team's not in the Final Four and Bruce's is.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're playing right into my point is it's college basketball, and the only thing that matters really is Final Fours and championships. And people forget, like, Bruce hasn't only been to a Final Four. He did play in that championship game, and there were some questionable calls in that Virginia and Auburn championship game. Did it go off Kyle Guy's hand or did it not? And so my thing is just like my eyes show me and tell me, and then the numbers back it up. I know that Bruce have maybe had early exits, and right now Rick is on, a heater where he's been to 2 Elite Eights. But it's like me personally, am going to take a couple early exits to play in a national championship game and to go to 2 Final Fours in a matter of 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, and I think people would be ridiculous. I do think people would be ridiculous if you're like over a 10-year span. Would you like to not win a championship, but you make all 10 tournaments and you make 1 Final Four, or over 10 years you make 2 tournaments and you win a national championship?
Yeah, I'm taking that every time.
You're going to take the Natty.
Yeah.
And it's with the same coach. And you think about like where Bruce was when he eventually got fired and what he's been able to do at Auburn with that time. It's like, just imagine if he had stayed at Tennessee, like where they would have been 2015, 2016, 2017, when we're working with freaking Donnie Tyndall. You know what I mean? It's like, he could have had Tennessee in the Final Four, in the championship at that point.
I firmly believe in my heart that if Bruce was still our coach, and you know what, maybe he's not even our coach now, maybe something else happened, but instead of being here for 6 years, if he had been here 10, 12, 15 years, everything in my body says we have at least 1 national championship and at least 2 Final Fours, if not 3 Final Fours or whatever. And yeah, he might have had a couple early exits, but it was that next year he's making a deep run. And the other thing about Bruce, and I saw some of the replies that were like, well, Bruce gets higher caliber players. He's got top 50 players, but Rick's better at like evaluating and going getting guys and producing them. And like, look how he took Ziegler from basically nothing to made him this and did this and this. Like all that stuff is great, but it's not really what matters. What matters is winning and going to the Final Four and competing for national championships. And that is what Bruce has done that. He's done that better than Rick has. Rick had a Final Four basically 20 years ago in 2004. Rick's been to 2, one in 2019 and one this year. And it's like, it's just plain and simple when you look at it. And the other thing about Bruce for me too is, like I said, he's always going to be my coach. That is always going to be my coach. And everyone wants to say, well, when Rick Barnes retires and walks out of Thompson-Boling Arena for the last time, he's going to be the greatest men's basketball coach for UT. It's like, yeah, like he is, because he's been here the longest. He's going to have the most wins. He's going to have all this. Like, no one's arguing that. But it's like I said, our basketball program was garbage until Bruce got here. So Rick doesn't really have much competition. He's been here 10 years. And so
the only person he was competing against was Bruce.
And exactly. And the thing is I tie this into 2 points. First off, you can say that Rick is going to be the best coach ever, but that might not mean he was the most impactful. Because what Bruce did, where we were a absolute nightmare of a basketball program, to making us relevant, to taking us to number 1 in the nation, that he walked so Rick could run. Because I don't know if you get a Rick Barnes after being fired from Texas.
Yeah,
I do not know if you get him, if he doesn't know that the heights that this basketball program can get to, which we were only showed that by Bruce.
Because of Bruce.
Because Donnie didn't show us that. Konzo didn't show us that. They were coming off of what Bruce did. And then if you want to say what Bruce did at Auburn, I mean, Auburn had no basketball history at all except for Charles Barkley. And that is it. And he's gone down there and he's had them in 2 Final Fours, 1 national championship game. And it's unbelievable. And so that's just where, for me, it's like I'll argue Bruce was more impactful at the University of Tennessee as a basketball coach. You can have Barnes as the best because he has the most wins and this and that. It's like, for me, that's just all because he's been here longer. That's the only reason.
Yeah, because I mean, before Barnes started, Bruce was considered the biggest thing for men's basketball at Tennessee. Like that was true. No one was saying that other coaches had more of an impact than Bruce did. It was like Bruce got us to number 1.
Yeah,
Bruce had us believing that we should get number 1 seeds in the NCAA, tournament. That was not happening before. So it was like, all right, Barnes, like this is the spot where we know it can get to that we haven't been to in quite a while because we Conzo and Donnie. Can you please do that now? When he was hired, people doubted him because he was a fired coach from another program. And what was he fired for? For not getting over the hump, for making it to the tournament 20 years in a row and never making it past that Elite Eight. And it's like he literally got fired from another job because of that.
Yeah.
It's okay for us to kind of hold the flames to him about the exact same subject while he's here.
Agreed. And just to correct you, that's exactly why he got fired. He did make one Final Four, but he never got back there. So
and they were like, we can't do this anymore. We have to change.
And it was, I mean, he brought in big time players at that point. I mean, if people want to argue about Bruce bringing in better players now, which the ultimate goal is to go to the Final Four and win a national championship. So whether you want to get lower tier guys and make them better, or if you just want to go get the best players, like
Calipari just got fired.
Right.
Like literally just got fired. He brought in the best players, the best. He had 5 McDonald's All-Americans every recruiting class.
It doesn't matter how you do it.
And it did. It doesn't matter.
So, yeah. So I mean the Texas fans that I'm friends with, when we got Rick, they're like, "Good luck, dude. Like he'll win you some big games. He'll run a good program, but you're never going to win a national championship."
Yeah, you'll like how your guys play.
Yep.
You'll love their tenacity. You'll love beating some good teams at home during the season, but you're not getting past Elite Eight.
Yeah. And so that's just for me. That's why it's never been an argument, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that I would get really frustrated with Barnes, but I knew that was a Reed problem. I knew that was me of expecting something from him that's who he's not him. And that's okay. That's what a fan does, especially a younger fan in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s. But like I'm not that way anymore. Like I appreciate what Barnes does, but I'm not expecting a Final Four national championship. It's just I would be very, very surprised if that happened. Doesn't mean I don't like him. Doesn't mean that we don't have a really good basketball program. We're not a great program. We're really, really good. None of that changes. And I just felt like it was finally acceptable to put it out there because myself and a couple of my buddies that we would always argue how much better Bruce was than Rick, we would get attacked really hard. And it, like I said, it was nothing personal. It's just like, it was pretty simple to us. So when he finally reached that next Final Four again, it's like, all right, he's got 2 in 6 years. Like, let's and
I think it was a little 50-50 out there too.
Sure.
Like I don't think it was overwhelming one side or the other.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is just 2 things, and I'm done on this, is I can still like Rick, but Bruce can still be my coach and will always be my coach because that's who I grew up with. And Rick can run a great program, but like I can still think that Bruce is a better basketball coach. And if we had Bruce instead of Rick, that we would probably have a Final Four or maybe even a national championship. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and hit practice for spring. I don't think I'm going to make it up this weekend. So it doesn't look like we're going to hit any practice this year. But we're going to hit it in the fall. We're definitely going to be at a practice in the fall.
Are you? Okay.
We will do that.
Okay.
So we can get a little head start before the season.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's complete off season. Let's go baseball. Do something crazy.
Yeah. Be sick.
That would be sick. 2 years in a row.
You know what's cool about baseball is that now you can watch it stress free. Because it's like if we lose, it's like we lose, it's like, all right, who cares? We lost. Like another great season. We won it last year. If they win again, it's like, this is incredible.
Yeah. No, you're right, because you're like, who cares? Let's lose. No matter. Like, are we making it to the World Series? I'm good.
Yeah. It's like they can't take the championship away from us.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So,
absolute dominance by SEC nowadays. Basketball was the last frontier. It stepped up. And now it's just, it's every sport.
Yeah.
Because baseball was there. Football was there. Women's basketball was there. And then, men's basketball was like ACC, Big East, all of those, Big Ten even, have more blue bloods. And it was like Kentucky in the SEC. That was it.
Yeah.
Now we're there. Now everybody's like, uh-oh, shit, SEC's coming up on us now too.
Yeah, it's nice. Even though like for basketball, I am all in on Houston winning it. I love Bruce. Love him. I do not want Auburn to win because that is really going to be a tough pill to swallow. Be like, damn, he got his championship and it wasn't with us.
Yeah.
So I don't want Florida to win it because I can't stand Florida. So I'm all in on Houston. And the thing is like I hate Duke, but I would rather see Duke win it because it's like, oh yeah, it's Duke basketball. Like that's what they do.
It's not Coach K.
Great point. But it's like if Duke wins another, it's like, okay, Duke just won another one. At least it wasn't Florida. Because Florida, hey, after those two back-to-back championships in 06 and 07, like they were cooking as like an everything school. But now it's like they're back on the map. But like let them have a Final Four. Do not let them have a national championship. So I'm all in on Duke or Houston. So
I can't stand Florida. They're definitely I hate them the most.
Yeah, facts.
For sure.
All right, next week, I'm excited. I'm excited to do a deep dive on football and kind of jump into it. Kyler, there's some pieces on this team in football that I'm really excited about to talk about, especially defensively. So that's all I'll say. But we'll do our deep dive kind of start next week.
Yeah. All right, brother. See ya. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate, review, download, re-download, follow us on all those listening platforms. Also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at Pancakes and Bacon _RTI on Instagram, at RBacon26 on Twitter for Reed, at Kyler Kerberson for myself on all social medias. So check me out there. Thank you guys for being the best fans in the world. Always appreciate your never-ending support. And as always, go Vols.